this peace run is the very beginning of something infinitely greater than what we can ever imagine. It's not only unique, but unprecedented, and this peace run is the very beginning of something that humanity will forever and forever.
You know, we've had a worldwide marathon team since 1977, so we've always held races of all kinds, you know, long races and marathons and shorter races and ultra marathons, triathlons. And he thought, well, since, you know, a lot of us are runners or long distance runners, why don't we run for peace? So, you know, and he always went for the ultimate goal. So in the US, we went through all 50 states, and in Canada, went all the way across Canada. And Europe, they're going through all 49 countries. So big ideas which actually started happening. You know, they actually started working in 1987 when we first did it. We didn't know we were going to do it again, but it was so well received. On a much smaller level, even now, it's even bigger scale because we visit a lot more schools and children, and teachers bring it into their curriculum. You know, so it becomes a lot more practical.
There's volunteers across the country who maybe aren't able to come out and run or don't particularly like running, but they like the idea of the event. So the woman who organized the events through this part of Saskatchewan actually lives in Ottawa, but her passion for Saskatchewan is because when she was a young girl, she actually had to do a research project on a particular poet or an author that came from somewhere in central Saskatchewan, and she fell in love with this part of the country. So whenever the peace run comes through Saskatchewan, she always wants to organize the events.
Flame is like the flame of aspiration, this flame of a yearning for peace that is just naturally born inside us, inside the earth, and to try to bring that out, which would solve a lot of problems of not only lack of peace or conflicts in the world, but also a lot of our problems that come from mental problems, fears, anxieties, worries, and other things can be solved by just some inner peace.
Well, I think with so many of the conflicts that we have in the world and all the other problems we have, you know, peace is something we all need, because if it can't be peaceful, it's hard to find the solutions to all the other problems that we have.
Thank you.
I just remember the quote from Chinmoy way back when I started. He said, "Peace not only has but is the fastest speed."
Did everyone hold it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, you didn't.
The last one to hold it gets to run 10 miles.
Tomorrow.
It's like a journey into human nature, into the good side of human nature, because as my colleague was just saying before, you end up meeting all kinds of positive people, which usually you don't see on the media, or you don't have a chance to see this reality, this goodness in human people in so many different ways.
First time I joined the peace run was like 1993, I believe. Yeah, I know, like, it so much. And that time I was studying. I was second course in university. I said, like, well, this doesn't make any sense, you know, like, just only for these 2 weeks, you know, I can live in university, you know, like, all this knowledge which I got it, you know, it doesn't make any sense. It was so significant for me, you know. I got like so deep experience, and I had a mistake when I told my mom about it. She was so mad on me. Yeah.
And here we share all the jobs, meaning, well, breakfast is on our own, but usually it's like whatever is in RV. So we have to stock the RV so that we can have breakfast. But then one team does the lunch for the rest of people. Then one team takes care of dinner. Then we take turns who is doing the schedule for the next day. Then somebody does the report and uploads the pictures and stories on the internet. Then somebody has to clean the cars, put things where they belong, and then set up the tents, taking down the tents. So it's a lot. So I think we looked like a little bit. We started it at 6 a.m. So like we were leaving at 6 a.m. So we had to get up earlier. So
we're doing anywhere between 5 and 15 kilometers a day. Sometimes people will do 20, but we don't do them all at once. We do them sort of usually one person is with the torch at a time. But we do, when we have to make up distance fast, we do what's called the leapfrog. And it's not when you jump over the other person, but we'll have two people. We have two people out running at this simultaneously. So we'll drop a runner off and then drive ahead 5K, stop the vehicle. Another runner gets off and starts running, and then it waits. So we've got two people with one of the vans. And then up the highway, 50 kilometers, we might have two more runners doing the same thing.
In Tennessee, and it was a man and his two teenage children. And we were running in Durango, Colorado, in the southern part of the Rockies. It's kind of amazing to be there and then come over here and then see the northern part of the Rockies. But anyway, this was a few years ago, and I was running up this long hill. It was about 8 or 9 mile hill, and it was just going on and on and on. And this car stops, and these two kids get out, and his father says, can my children run with you? And he didn't know that much about the run, but they wanted to run a little bit. They ran, maybe for a mile, and they got tired. And then we, said our hellos and everything, and that was it. They were gone, and we didn't know where they were going, or really, they didn't know where we were going. And then 2 days later, we're at a campsite in Mexican Hat, southern Utah, near Monument Valley. And we get to this little campsite, and I'm walking down into the parking lot, and I hear this people open up their car window and say, "Hey, Arpan." And it was a child, it was a teenager, and I said, who do I know? There's no teenagers on the peace run. And it was these two kids and their father, again, is like hundreds of miles away. They happen to be staying at the same campsite in another state, 2 states away from where we met them before. And so we thought that was great. So we had dinner together, and we met the rest of the team. And so then next morning we parted our ways, and again, we didn't know where each other was going. And then 2 days later, we were in the Grand Canyon. We took a day off. We always take a day off and go hiking in the Grand Canyon. So we were hiking down the Grand Canyon, and we didn't go all the way down. Some people go all the way down, but that's a big effort. Anyway, so we went part of the way down, and a friend of mine and I were inspired to, like, these trails that go like this and go up. We decided to run them as fast as we could, and everybody's walking and struggling up, and we were just inspired to just run. And at the end, we raced each other in the last like 200 meters. It was like, oh, we're dying. And we get to the very top, and who's walking by but this guy and his son that we had of this family that we wouldn't have seen if we were 5 seconds slower, because they were going to their car in the parking lot. And we met them again, and the daughter was, in the store or something. And to me, that kind of connection with people, which, really I think had more an effect on them, especially the kids, than on us. It was just kind of things that are kind of meant to happen when good people are doing something they should be doing. It's kind of a serendipity, maybe a coincidence, but it's very uplifting. And that kind of thing makes me feel like I'm in the right place at the right time. And then it gives you confidence that your life is going okay.
To go, and we were the one of the girls' team. We were approaching Grand Forks in BC, and we were driving, and Kanika was running.
I was running, and there is this man like pulling his car. The traffic was quite heavy, so he couldn't stop, and I couldn't stop. So he was just yelling from his car, "What is the cause of your run?" So I said, "Peace," and he goes like, and then he had to go on. But then I continued running, and he was driving, and then I saw him, he was stopping because he stopped at that point. So he stopped, and he came to me, and he was asking me about the run. So I told him more about the run, and he was taking pictures. but we usually carry like small card with us. There is the website information and more information about the run, but I didn't have the card with me at that point, so I just told him the website because he wanted to follow the run, and he left. And I felt really sorry that I didn't have more information for him. And the other members of the team, they were just passing by me at the moment when he just took off, so I was like, oh no. But then as I was finishing my part of run, I see them. He actually met with them, and kind of
think
the end of the story.
He could turn then, so he turned, he stopped by our car, and he's like, guys, what do you say? You have to tell me. So we explained everything what we do, and he said, you know, I'm on my way to pick up my kids from my ex. So he's divorced, and as I was driving, I just felt I wished that if we could have more peace in this relationship in our family. And there I saw you guys. It was like when he told us, we all had goosebumps and everything, and I told the rest of the team, even if nothing else would happen today, this was worthwhile to do it.
At the end of the day, so he invited us into the city chamber council, and we had some refreshments, and then I was sitting, he came and he goes, you know, this is really lovely. He goes, but what do you think this is actually doing for the world? He goes, you guys are just running with this torch, like, do you really think it's doing something? And I was like, yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. So I tried to kind of explain from my perspective why I loved it and what I felt it was contributing. And then it was really neat, his reply. He said, you know, he said, I think I kind of get what you're saying. He goes, you know, I love hockey. And he said there's this one point in the hockey game that I can completely relate to what you're saying. He says at the end of the game, when everyone's left the rink and all my team has gone to the locker room, he says, I sit down on the bench and it's so quiet. And he said, just for a few moments, he said, I actually experience peace like I do at no other time in my life. He said, and that's why I love hockey. So he goes, is that what you mean by peace? And I was like, yeah, that's the kind of peace. So anyways, I just like that story because I think he kind of could relate to the inner experience of it that we're kind of just trying to give people an opportunity to express and discover, yeah.